Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Red Groove Revolution podcast. I am your host, Earl Holder, aka DJ Solero, and I'm here with one of the founding fathers of the Caribbean funk group of the 1970s, the group, the 20th Century Steel Band, Mr. Micheal Bubbles Olivier. Mr. Micheal Bubbles Olivier, thank you so much for availing time out of your very busy schedule to come on the program.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Olivier, for starters, how did you start out as a musician?
Oh, well, as from the age of 9, and I'll take you back this in the Caribbean, actually, in Trinidad. Um, there was loads of steel pan, what we call obviously steel pan groups around the area. In the village, there was this particular one called Crossroads, which my uncle was involved in. So for me being a kid, and he's taking me to these every night's rehearsals and stuff like this, I started to get sort of interested. And then, I mean, if we want to say it was a sort of invocation, from the time I locked on, I heard the first melody, literally, on the steel pan, I just got locked in. I was taken, like sort of an addiction from that age. And I thought, right, I'm going to try this. Because what I used to see is how they make them, how they tune them, to prepare them. This is at the age of 9, mind you. So one day I was, we've got these trees they call the cashew tree. The cashew nuts. You've heard of that? It sells them in the packets as dry nuts, kind of thing. They call the cashew nuts. But we had a tree, actually a cashew tree in our yard. This is Caribbean. And bearing in mind, I was about 9 years old. So one day I was sitting under the, as we call cashew tree, and I look at a tin, and it was the circumference about 12 inches, around. I don't want to call names that will be exposure for it, but it was a brand. And I used to sort of like follow suit things I've seen, sort of interesting thing. More so the steel pan was the making of the steel pan. I used to see all different kind of things, mechanics, But I wasn't really interested in, to be honest, I wasn't really interested in having any sort of a schooling or education. I had the privilege to do it. Of course, I went to schools and stuff like that. But from the time I locked on this steel pan, this is where it started. So, well, I didn't have hammers. I didn't have the implements, because they have these different various hammers and sizes to sort of like, as we go on, you'll see what they're for. Now, I just took a stone, what we call a rock stone, and what they do, they concave the thing, the drums, and I see what they did. So I follow so that I take the stone and neatly take it down, so the concave. And again, they have these special equipments we call a center punch, a sort of long thing with a blunt, but obviously couldn't afford that. So a nail, a 4-inch nail. I mean, I don't know if they've got these type of things anymore. 4-inch nail, which you will drive through a 4x4 bit of wood or something, to lock it in, okay? And it was just the size that was the same size of the what we call the center punch. The original thing they use, yes, it's called a punch, a center punch, which means a center punch. It grooves the sort of notes, as you go around. So I follow suit, and I got about 8 notes because the circumference was so small. It was about, it's about that size. So probably under the hands. Yeah. And I, as we say, grooved out the notes. Grooving means you tap along, and sort of like make this sort of engraving right along. And with the idea that I always, see what they're doing, an observation. And I did exactly what they did because they used to burn the drums, literally to temper the steel. There were one, and there was to burn the paint off. There was a lot of paint on the original oil drums that they used to use. Okay, so and then I've got the notes do re mi fa sol la ti do. Meanwhile, my mom was in the kitchen with the old coal pot iron, and I just remember this is going back. Put the irons. We used to have iron and coal pot. I'm going back. You heat the iron, and that's to do the clothes and so. She was in the old shack, as we say, doing this, and she heard me get get that song on the phone. She saw that. Did you do that? I say yes. Wow, that was it. Short and sweet. That was from there. History was made.
Okay, and that was And that was your inspiration as a like that's who inspired you coming up as a musician?
Yes, my mom had a lot to do with it because she said, I think you look like you want to do that, how we say you want to do that rest of your life, just throwing words. And like I say, but that was the beginning.
Okay.
After that, I moved on to getting involved in making the bigger ones, the larger ones.
Okay. All right. And how did the 20th Century Steel Band get together initially?
Oh, as we say, a long story. Unfortunately, we were to do a world tour with one Winifred Athwell, the pianist. Have you heard of Winifred Athwell?
Yes.
Oh, yes, she was a pianist. And half of the group had managed to came out, and the other half, which were about 22 of us, remained in Trinidad. The half that came out here, it happened in such a way where we were waiting for for the rest to come and do their thing, do their program. But what happened is that midway through, something went wrong. We didn't know, situation beyond our control. We didn't know what was going on, and it crumbled. Yeah. So which means half or three-quarters of the guys stayed here in England because there was no way of us going back. There was not, there was a return ticket, but not where we of ourselves organized. That we were sponsored by a particular airline, which again I wouldn't mention because obviously it's to good exposure. And so we got stuck here, what we call get stuck here. It's about how much of us? Course mine about 6 of us. And we proceed, we go through all the different scenarios, what groups get when they've been left on their own in such way, or anybody or anything. And okay, we go on, we progress. We did lots of tours. We did the daily circuits, nightclubs, lots of tours, had privilege to meet so many different people. But before that, the 6 original guys were here. We caught up with 3. We enrolled 3 guys that were living here, and well, if not born here, they were here before. In which I initially took them and taught them how to play actual steel pan because they hadn't had a clue. These are the 3 guys we met here. The other 6 were original, who made the tour. And so forth, so forth. And then, we start developing, and things went on. Now, if we're going to get about how I come by writing the track, I mean, this is a separate question.
Yes, yes. Well, you know what that leads into one of my next questions. I was going to ask you next. When did the band start recording the 20th Century Steel Band's debut album back in, what was it, 1975? It was in 75, right?
Yeah, 75.
So what was the process from your recollection in recording that album?
Right. Before that, like Shelly was just reminding me in the corner, we did quite a lot of important things like we won there's a competition here, it's called the New Faces, like British Got Talent and all these little talent shows. And we won the all winners, with a panel of great comedians, you name it. That was in one particular hall, and then we went on to they had a final competition in one of the most prestigious halls, which is the London Palladium. So, and I'm telling you, I was the only person in the world that ever took a steel band into hall with such a prestigious, the most prestigious hall, apart from Carnegie Hall, is the London Palladium. And I took steel pan, the first person to take steel pan and break all the rules, if you want to say. National TV, we won the competition, we performed on national TV, like I said, but that was the biggest and most prestigious place. So before that, sorry, I think for the cart before your horse, it doesn't matter. One day I was sitting in the hotel because I was one of these guys who never really wanted to go out and, party and all that. And I was in the hotel and I could look over the beach and see the guys on the beach. You had 8 guys on the beach. So I was in my hotel room. This is how I come up right in the song. And at that time, I think, if I remember, it was an instigation about my son, the birth of my son. I think my first son. Yeah. And I was sitting there in the hotel. I'll give it to you raw. I'm looking at the guys, you know, like I say, I can't be bothered up. But I get the call, and obviously the creator works in mysterious ways. So he just didn't want me to go out anywhere. And I sat there and I had the pen and the paper, and the words just come to me. Because there was always I would say from a child, thinking like basic things, natural things, how things work, how the world work, and even up to this day, you know, sort of like scientifically. I used to sort of think scientifically, and I didn't know that was a way of thinking. So I thought, children growing. I mean, you follow me how you know. Imagine you sit down in the world in your room and you say, "Oh my God," and you start piecing it together. So I thought, children growing, women producing, obviously, men go working, some do stealing. And that was it. That was the beginning of the end. So there we get it. Children growing, women producing, men go working, some were stealing. That was it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
got nothing. As they say, who God bless, no man curse.
that's a slice of history right there.
But I
So
mean, you know, I was thinking basically the world I was bringing my child into, to be honest. And I mean, I couldn't say children because obviously it was the first one. I was thinking about the world, you know, that my child was coming into, my firstborn, you know, the firstborn. And I'm thinking, you know, what is gonna be, you know, women just keep producing, you know, men go working, obviously, some was stealing. So I open up this world and when I'm thinking whereabouts, you know, my child is gonna be how he's gonna fit in here, and he did. He's the rising sun.
wow, wow. So basically, when you wrote the song Heaven and Hell, it was mainly about your son being born into this world.
Um, yeah, it's got a lot to do with it.
Mm,
Mm.
okay. All right. Big shout out to Shelly in the
A
background. Your
vision of the
son.
world, my whole vision and perception of the world. I seen it there through Shelley and his bird. And Shelley Bird has got a lot to, well, Shelley Rising Sun. Bird has got a lot to do with this whole program here, you know. It was around the
Okay.
time I think he was conceived.
And how was the rest of the album like for you when you recorded the rest of the album?
Oh, there was great songs on that album that people haven't heard. Great songs. I mean, even the rest of the lyrics, Children Growing when producing, if you have you heard the whole track? I mean, Rising sort of like introduces that at some point. The whole track is the album, what it's called? Cold Steel Warm Heart. We even have the title track, Cold Steel Warm Heart, Warm Heart from Cold Steel.
Warm Heart, Cold Steel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on the album up, I think, yeah. But brilliant album. And then we're going to write another one. I think we only did two actually, or three. But your question is the rest of the album. Yes, the whole album was written. We've got different guys tracks that guys wrote, but I was the instigation behind most of all the tracks to, you know, help them. Even though I don't wrote, I would help them structure the music basically, if not the lyrics. So I was involved in the whole album, the whole musical perception. I was a musical director, actually.
You were the musical director
Yeah.
of the whole album? Nice, nice. Now, did you know that this song, Heaven and Hell, will go on to become very influential on not only hip hop, but the rest of the music world in general? Did you foresee any of this happening?
No. Like I say, I write when you do things, some people can see the future of what is going to be done. But like I say, I said, okay, I've got these words. These words didn't just come so, and it doesn't mean for me to start doing anything with it. It will speak for itself.
Hmm,
It'll speak
interesting.
for itself, and that's what's happened. It's speaking for itself because the world doesn't know I have done it. You know, this is a thing myself and Rise and Work do from next year. Can we take that? I won't, you know, handle it family wide because I mean, not so much experience with people interfering and so I decided to let my as they grow up now, especially Rise, and he's coming back. Ooh. Yeah. Ryzen is going to come back. I'm going to make sure that you'll be hearing from Ryzen quick.
So how do you feel about your song Heaven and Hell being sampled over 100 times by various rappers, R&B singers, etc. How do you feel about that being sampled over 100 times?
Well, it's set for every generation. It's timeless. I write timeless music. You see,
It's still relevant now.
relevant. Yeah, come in here.
In fact, right now it's more relevant than ever.
Yeah, you hear that?
Indeed,
Well,
Shelly. True
yeah,
indeed.
because Cheryl knows what it is. Cheryl knows how it's going and it. Yeah, it's timeless and it will be in use for generation to come. You see, because of the words, it's like "All Father which art in them, hallowed be thy name." A prayer that don't go jingle bells, jingle bells. The bells don't change.
Right. Now I know the following year.
Generation.
I'm sorry, what was you about to say?
I say it doesn't change with generation. The bells. Sorry, I was just being a bit jovial.
No, absolutely. Now I know the following year, the band released an album, Yellow Bird is Dead. Describe the process going into the recording of that album.
Right. Things started shifting on the executive side, the big boys side now. They start handling things. When I say, I mean, start handling things. And it was this guy, again, I can't really call names. Situation changed where I was no longer the musical director. You know how it goes. And then this guy comes in, Mr. Alan David, of course, I'll call the name. Aaron Davis, I don't know what or where he came from, but he was appointed to take over the musical directing in a steel band, things I've been doing since I was born.
It became corporate.
And imagine that from I was born, I was directing, like I said before. Suddenly this person comes incorporate and starts doing the musical directing. But the way he's doing the musical directing, like is directing, like you're saying, you walk this way and you walk that way, but you're not building the road. You see? You can work things out. We can't be too definite here now. I mean, as we say, we'll pick sense out of nonsense here. Anyway, I was no longer the musical director, so I just sat back. Yellow Bird is Dead. The person, like I said, came up with that idea that I'm right.
Why is it called Yellow Bird?
Why it's called Yellow Bird is Dead? Because we had a bird, particular bird, the song. We had a bird in the Caribbean, a sort of corn bird, and there was a song about that bird. It was yellow. So the yellow bird high up in banana tree, yellow bird high up in banana. Yeah, sorry folks, I've lost it all there. And the steel band used to play it. It was like a featured song, you know, in hotels and different, you know, this sort of, because obviously it was an old ancient Caribbean song.
Only thing they've ever asked you to play.
True. That's theorizing in the background. Everything, it was like a tune. Oh, can you play Yellow Birds in them time? I mean, this before you were born, he was born, Yellow Bird and all these kind of
Yellow bird.
all this brown girl in the ring, you know, you remember all that brown girl in the ring? Yeah, that's my time. So the steel band used to play these things, but this guy, when he realized we were playing not the Yellow Bird stigma, you know, oh God, come on, because you hear the kind of music we play, you know. We had left. So he come with the idea, seeing that we don't play it anymore, which it makes sense, he decided to name the album Yellow Bird is Dead. So we don't play it anymore.
Steel band has
leveled up. Yeah.
Okay.
Stop playing that kind of, you know, so as you can see in comparison to what we're playing now. So he came with this idea of, Yellow Bird is Dead, which obviously it is, speaks for itself. So that's how we get the album. The actual
and like after the recording of that album, the band broke up.
Yes. I couldn't. What year we break up? It was, I can't remember. Yeah, but yes, it did break up after that. Maybe whether it was immediately afterwards, I can't call to my mind. But yeah, situation beyond our control. You know, obviously things starts getting out of hand, and we was ahead of our time as well. You know, so the world wasn't ready for it yet. You know, so like now, speaking to 20th century, which I can rearrange all the music, but not with the same guys. I can capture everything on any album I've done there, note for note. So at any time I can say, well, all right, let me reinvoke the 20th century sound, not the men or the band or I alone can go into the studio and play every instrument and develop an orchestra out of it and get the same song.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Well, speaking of the band, like what happened to the other members of the band?
oh, we lost a few. Unfortunately. How many? We lost 1, 2, 3. Once passed last month, was it?
Yeah.
A couple of months ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all right. Obviously, they're doing their thing wherever. As I can remember, they're still
Who's left?
they're still playing individually. Now, for who's left, I couldn't call like the names. It's about four people from the band that is left, including myself. I mean, if I call the names, obviously you would know who I'm talking about. But that's the amount of quite a few of us left.
Hmm.
3 parts. Okay, well, let's say 1, 2, 3. Let's say 6 of us remain, but they are all over. Some's not playing anymore. I'm the only one that's keeping it up, and I'm going down with it, not down, up. We don't use the word down. I'm going up with it.
How did you feel when Kanye West sampled your song Heaven and Hell for his song last year, which I believe is also called Heaven and Hell? How did you feel about that when you found out that Kanye West sampled you recently?
I actually shed tears for days because the way the guy take it and make it sound so spiritually, and it is what I want. It can be a hymn. I would like it to be a hymn one day. Children growing, woman producing, then go working, some go stealing. Da, 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 da. I'm telling you see, because I had picture it as a hymn in churches, and I can rearrange that. And I can rearrange that to sound like a hymn.
So
I was flabbergasted. I was overjoyed. I think I wouldn't compete. I don't want to compete, but I think it's about the best version because it was so spiritually. I think he's the one who did the best out of it, to be honest.
okay.
Okay, fine. The rest of you, fine. Everything's fine. Everything must have a somebody in front. So yes, yeah, he smashed it. He smashed it. I said, I would like to meet personally. I mean, I always said to Ryzen, I shed tears for about a couple of days because the way the guy and exactly what I wanted, because most of them put it into like gangster thing and the streets thing and all that. But Kanye put it into like a hymn, especially when he dedicates his Donda. I would love to meet that guy. I tell you, there's a reason why me and him can sit down and because I've got so much more to he can sample. It's not funny.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I would love to work with him. I really would love to work with him.
The catalog is deep
in all of them.
So how do you feel about other people who have sampled you? I believe J-Lo sampled you.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Stop the Violence, Boogie Down Productions, Self Destruction back in 1988. I mean, the list goes on and on of people who have sampled your music and sampled from the 20th century hip hop band, 20th century steel band, dating all the way back to the beginning of hip hop back in back in the early to mid 70s. So, how do you feel about DJs, hip hop producers, singers, all embracing your music, a song that you wrote almost 50 years ago? How did you? I mean, I know I asked you this question before, but it's really starting to sink in, like how deep you've affected the world with just one song.
Yep. I feel good that everyone that played, sampled, I feel good. But as I may tell you, I'm not the kind of person who knows what's going on with the hip hop world or India knows what or who is doing what, I just read back and I'm hearing things. That's hence the reason why no one knows it's just this little guy from England that's got so much damage. It's because I've pushed myself in there and I would like to be known, but I mean, my promoters, the people who handle me, obviously, didn't go down that way. But yeah, just want to leave your mark on the world. I just want to leave my mark on the world. I just want to leave my mark on the world. Let
Okay.
everyone know me. I think that's the most thing, and a little bit of change to go with it. My burial money, as we say. Let's get into the jovial side. I haven't got my burial money now. I'll tell you something. I've got a 1-bar gas heater. I think I should tell you, world now, or start letting them know. All I'm comfortable now is like, if they can give me some coffin money. Burial money. It's just a joke. I'm quite satisfied, I can say, because like I say, I'm satisfied that the creator have given me something to do on it. Like I say, I know what he sent me here to do. I'm doing it. If you don't know what the creator sent you to do, then you have a big problem. I know he sent me here to do this. The work hasn't finished yet. I'll be 71 tomorrow. I feel strong. I feel fit. The mind is still going. I'm writing. I still got unknown written songs, albums, everything. But I think I need someone now to seriously take care of that for me. You know.
Well, happy birthday in advance. And
Thanks.
yeah, happy birthday, seriously. And just to, I guess, end things off, like, what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm spending a couple of days with Ryzen here. I think we're gonna try and do a couple of songs together, if we should find the time. I'm here on a mission which I can't really mention on thing. Yeah, so I'm just taking it easy, I think age got a lot to do with it now. I gotta slow down a bit, but the writing and stuff, I still perform, mind you. I perform today, I play steel pan, I perform anyhow, I do anything, I'm still going. I'm just gliding. I think I can take off voices as well, sing like various people as well,
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you a quiz here now.
Yes.
And I hope it comes. Okay?
Yep. Go ahead.
I call it a guess what? We have all the time in the world.
Louis Armstrong.
Time enough for life. Hey.
Louis Armstrong.
Then we have
Voice is undeniable.
well, maybe this one maybe before you look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten.
Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole.
And I think I'm clinging to a cloud. I can't understand. I get misty just holding your hand. Johnny Mathis.
Oh, you know what? You sounded like Nat King Cole when you sang that just now, but it's Johnny Mathis. Okay.
Well, this is not Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
Mona Lisa, men have named you.
You're a good impressionist, man.
Ballerina dance and do your pirouette in rhythm with your aching heart. Okay, one and we gone. Maybe I didn't love you quite as long as I should have. Little things I should have said and done. I just never took the time. You're always on my mind. You're always on my mind. Elvis Presley.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, Elvis.
You're always on my mind. I mean that. Good night. Good night from me. It was nice talking to you. Should I end it or you? I'll give you the privilege to end it.
Well, I mean, let's just end it as on this note. Any closing words? Any words of encouragement or anything that you'd like to end off with?
Yes. America, just keep using it. It is, I think, sooner or later, it will heal the world. When everyone realizes that they're the four things that make the world go wrong. Children growing, women producing, men working, some will stealing. Everyone's got to make a living. All right, folks.
All right. Well, Mr. Micheal Bubbles Olivier, thank you, and your son Shelly for availing time out of your busy schedule. Thank you, Shelly. I appreciate that. Putting me in contact with your father. I greatly appreciate that. And you both are welcome to come back anytime.
Well, we'll be probably over there at some point.
Yeah, if we're in New York, we're gonna look you up.
Yeah, no doubt. Look me up, bro. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Peace over and out.
Peace.
Yeah.